answer questions. What do we want? What do we want out of this guy? It's thermal.
Picking up heat.
Not heat. Cold spots. Thank you. The one person I think that was dragged here, she's the one with the answer. So, cold spots, literally. You should be able to see me in there, right? Red, orange, and yellow guy. Mm-hmm. So, if you were a bridal party, which you're not, I would be the hottest thing inside the picture. So, again, I make that joke on purpose, so that way you know exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for blue and black. So, again, we're looking for it to either move or to take shape on its own. Does this capture something every single night? It does not. However, when we do capture something, it is a holy shit moment, just so you guys know. But again, we're going to do a few starts and stops with the recording. This is a FLIR camera. This is what firemen would use to actually help save people. Mm-hmm. This is not a phone app. So just so you guys know, a lot of people are like, oh, he's handing us phones. No, I'm not handing you phones. I am handing you phones, but with cool shit attached to it. But we're going to do a few starts and stops just because this thing is great. The software sucks. If we record for too long, we're going to lose footage. Yeah. So I will splice all of the video together and then send it back to you as one video. So that way you guys, and it will be in sequential order. I do spot check it, so we'll probably get about an hour to start the recording for you. All right. And that battery pack on the pack is just Velcroed on there to kind of keep the camera running. Yeah. All right, so where the heck are we? Oh, it says corner. How long have you had that up there?
It just popped on.
And that's exactly where you are.
Yes.
I love watching people pay parking meters after 6 o'clock. I think it's hysterical. I try to stop him, but sometimes like this guy, I'm going to let him go. So, he paid the whole thing. Probably dropped $8 in quarters. Anyway, back to where are we? Welcome to a parking lot. Congrats. You made it. This place used to be something. Of course it did. Keep in mind that there are a lot, that's a weird term I don't see all the time. You have to remember, I've been using that app for probably 6 years now, and every once in a while I still get a surprise out of it. So like oxygen, like that's really, really weird. There are cars in here, so just be mindful of your filming while we're in this place. But this place used to be the Eliza Lucas and Charles Pinckney mansion. So their mansion sat in the front of this mansion, or of the space, and Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant, came all the way across. We're standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So yeah, kind of gives you a general layout of what this place was. But why are we here? First off, Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Chucks. That's why we look for the secondary verifier to be able to verify who we're actually talking to. So kind of keep that in mind. We do get a lot of these same common names. The son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us, but I hate politics more than you guys, and if I don't bring it up, they will very angrily. So it's kind of a weird thing. I will tell you that this is one of the spaces I told you I'm experimenting every November, December. I've tried to retire this place several times just because we do get some negative messages out of this location, but it just seems like I get the best amount of activity out of this location. So I keep coming back to it, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to get some good positive vibes out of the location. So, back to who the heck is Eliza. We're going to talk about her instead of politics because she's way more interesting. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. Yes. Did you just hear something?
No, I'm sorry. No. Is she the one that disappeared on a ship?
No.
No. Okay, keep going.
Trying to think of which Eliza you're dealing with, because there's a lot of Elizas from that time period. We're talking 1700s. Those are common names just like John.
I don't meet a lot of Elizas these days.
No, you don't. Well, it's short for Elizabeth. Just nobody goes by Eliza. They go by Liz, Beth, Betty, those kind of things instead. Anyway, so when we're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, we're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14 from like colonial times of when girls got married. You're going to think of today's standards, and the reason I bring this up is because her husband, Charles, was over double her age when they married. So kind of a creepy age gap in colonial times, creepy age gap now. Anyway, back to why she married him. Her father was over in England, where she's from, and he thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids home one last time. Eliza didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put, got married. 1744. You don't get married in 1744 for a green card. We're not even a country. So, she did marry him out of love. There's no foul play. Do not poke the bear on this prominent English woman. She will bring us right out of here, just so you guys know. Yeah, there's some things we just don't touch on. But at any rate, she was right. Her father did not die right away. Instead, he started sending her gifts from England. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town or live near town, you've seen the word indigo somewhere. I guarantee it. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye, that makes her blue jeans blue. Can't tell if anybody has it on tonight. Doesn't look like it. We all failed. Good job. So, but anyway, with that said, when she got the seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. so she had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's obviously not warm here all the time. Sorry, she's from Missouri. She doesn't know these things. I have to school her. So once she figured it out and experimented with it here, moves it to a plantation, gets a hold of her father and says the rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with the indigo. And we now have an international businesswoman during colonial times, which is something absolutely unheard of. So that's the boring business shit about Eliza. Let's get into the weird shit. That's why you guys are here, right? So a couple of things about Eliza. We're going to go through just there's really only 2 spirit boxes, and you both are using them. So things we can ask Eliza that we commonly get answers to. What's the word you have up there?
Convince.
Interesting.
Been on there for a while too.
Okay. The mansion's not here anymore. Obviously, you can ask what happened to it and when did that happen. That's a very specific date. When we do get the tragedy of what happened to the mansion, we will often get 2 out of the 3 numbers for the full date. That's the month and the day, the month and the year, the day and the year. Again, 2 out of the 3 numbers will usually pop up along with it. We'll go to Eliza's children. This is one of the things you don't poke the bear with, so kind of keep it minimal if you're going to ask questions about her kids at all. You can ask how many and what their names were. That's it. The reason why there's a tragedy among those kids. Don't poke the bear. She doesn't want to talk about it. I'm just telling you right now. Eliza's death is where she's pretty open. You can ask how she died, how old she was, where she died, and what president was a pallbearer at the funeral. These are common things that we hear at this location. I'm out here 6 to 7 nights a week, depending on the weather. So again, I know normally what we hear here, but at the same token, they still surprise me. So the cool thing is that you're recording. So sometimes we capture disembodied voices at this location. Most of the disembodied voices I've ever caught have come from this space. The highest I've ever seen your millimeter go has been in this space. So again, I don't want to retire it, so we're going to be very respectful at this location. Do you want to try to have a spirit box in your ear at the same time, or are you focused on the... Okay,
yeah,
I'll get you
wouldn't
set
mind.
up. So the REM pod in this location, I'll show you how to use it very quickly, because this is one of the spaces we can use it. Have you had any other numbers besides the 6.7?
It's been pretty low at like 0 the whole time.
Okay.
Just that when it popped up when we walked in here.
So now that you've given me a 6.7, don't give me anything below that.
Okay.
So that way I don't have a whole notebook full of numbers.
Gotcha.
So again, the average spike for this space is 18 to 22 milliamps. That is super high for most locations, not this one. Just so you know. So I do keep track of all of yours because it doesn't record anything, so I have to manually do it. So 6.7 is our first base. So pull up the antenna, flip the device around. So you're going to see a little flap. You're going to lift it up this way. There'll be 2 little white buttons underneath. The one closer to the edge is the one you want.
The REM?
Yep. So click it into the device. Perfect. All right, flip it around slowly. It's going to go off with your motion, just so you know. If you jostle that thing a little bit, it's going to give you a little, like with every step, it's probably going to give you a little bit of a green, that kind of thing. I don't count greens because 99% of the time it came from you. However, let's say you get a blue or a purple or something around there in the middle. You're going to stop and you're going to reset it. Right where your thumb is, there's 3 buttons. Find the bottom button. You always want to kind of keep your thumb rested there. When it goes off, you're going to stop, click, release, and it's going to reset the field. If it goes back to the same color, it's obviously not from you. Again, greens, I don't normally count anyway. You don't have to keep clicking things on greens, just depending on how well you're going to move. That's nice. So I'll take the 5. But you can also ask for color. Eliza, make it go to yellow, make it go to purple, whatever color you want. In the event she answers you, click reset, ask for a different color. Get a verification that she's responding to you. So kind of keep that at the same motion. Do we get that here all the time? No, but there's really no other way to verify that it would actually be her. So the colors and the numbers don't work together, so don't expect, both of them like, oh, I got, all the way to purple, but no number showed up.
Right.
That's okay. There are 2 different types of electromagnetic fields being measured, so that way you don't get false positives on this guy. So again, they work independently. It's the easiest way to remember it. So it's a lot of click and reset for you as you guys are walking around. Just keep in mind, don't go in between the vehicles. Try to find a good, happy spot where you're getting some numbers. Stay put, ask some questions. And it's good that you guys are listening, so that way you guys can kind of verify each other what's going on. And I'm going to get her set up with one of those spirit boxes so that she can be double-fisted at the same time.
Okay.
And I'll have to do more work because she's going to be listening as well, so I have to write down all her stuff too. So, go scramble, go have some fun, and I'll catch up with you in a minute. Just be mindful of people walking through they don't know what the hell we're doing out here. So we just look like a bunch of weirdos. All right.
Okay.
Have you used an NS box before?
I have not.
That's one of my friends from the candy shop. It is. Hey! Couldn't tell if that was you or not walking over here.
I wasn't sure who you were at first. I was like, who are these people next to my truck?
Yep, see, I told you. We look like a bunch of weirdos.
You go get an application?
No, I didn't see you in there. And your restroom's broken again. Easiest level possible. It's not an easy job. Everything else kind of just tells you what's going on. Yours, you have to find it.
Yeah. Okay.
What are the terms you have right there?
God,
What was before that?
trade.
Vague. You could still go with for cash crops. It's very vague. Like, I won't mark it in here. It's vague.
Dan, is it Dan?
Kind of. I need another clue to be able to verify that it is. You learning how that thing works? See you kind of toggling back and forth. Are you learning how it works?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that is trying to figure out what the hell you're actually looking at. So it's a lot of like up and down. The screen, look at what's in front of you. The screen, look at what's in front of you. The nice thing for you guys is I send that video to YouTube so you can watch it on TV. I watch it on a nice big computer screen so I can kind of see everything. I don't always follow up with the person using the camera because in real time it's not always a real time page. A lot of it is caught the next day because that person didn't always know what they were looking for. And it could be a keep in on it. So those things happen as well. Eliza, what do you want to tell us tonight besides the word danger several times? Why don't you tell us where you're buried?
Yeah. Was jaw roll?
What did Jaw Roll say?
He was shouting. It's incomprehensible.
Okay. Getting much out of yours? Getting anything?
No, just static.
Need another term for that. Dan. Let's verify. There's another term on here that's close, but not enough for me to say. No numbers at all.
5.
A lot of religious terms.
It's at 0. 6, 7, like I.
Yeah, which is odd. And I usually expect an 18 to 22 justification. I have the name Dan on one of our boxes. Can you tell us who Dan was?
Happy.
Who is Dan or Daniel married to? Tell us that. Whoever's here.
Maine.
staple for other ghost tours. So if somebody's going to come through here, which doesn't look like it's going to be likely, we're just kind of split the seas, or we'll just get closer to one side, and you will not be filming them at all.
Yep.
All right, so where the heck are we? Philadelphia Alley. This used to be called Dueler's Alley. So, yeah, this is where some duels actually occurred. Not all of them, because remember, dueling was illegal. So we all tell the story of one specific duel because it actually happened, and we can prove it. I love this story because there's a lot of numbers. There's a lot of very specific details that come out of it. And I've been booted out of this alley. So if you guys see me like looking over my shoulder from time to time, yeah, I'll tell you how I got booted out of here. That's the fun part.
Troublemaker.
I am. There's a reason why we stopped here, and we're going to go back out the way we came.
Oh my gosh.
We'll just put it that way. And again, I will tell you that story because it's funny. And it actually kind of tells you why we go investigate pirates next. Because again, I used to take people all the way through. We'll get to it. Duels. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If either one of you hear brown-eyed girl, or I should say any of you, because you're all listening at this point, it's not coincidence. So, what is that guy doing? Anyway,
Checking out.
yeah, apparently. So, Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. Nice.
Wow.
What's weird is that particular spirit box has given me parts of a dueling pistol. Like, I didn't know what it meant. Like, had to look the shit up. Like, I seen the word brass pan show up. I am not a gun person.
Oh,
However,
wow.
studying dueling pistols and pirate pistols, because they're obviously very similar in time span, and you can kind of see the progression of them, but we're talking after major golden age of piracy at this point.
Is
But
78 a thing?
So it mentioned Guns N' Roses later.
what song? Did they mention it, or was it?
Mentioned the band
Okay. So you did hear guns.
Guns N' Roses. Yeah.
They actually both tie in together. Oh. Hang on. Guns and Roses. Yeah, the word weapon, and then it was 78. I don't know what 78 is, I'll be honest. Look. Doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything. Are you recording? So I'm sure. What is it?
98.
Did you hear it's like 98 Rock?
98 Rock.
Yeah, it's a common thing. I throw those away. Just because they come through too often. Alright, nice try. Where were we? Oh, Amanda just inherited a bunch of money, right?
Yeah.
She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. He tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston from Rhode Island. Oh, by the way, Rhode Island is very specific to this location because of its initials. Pay attention to that. It's going to come up again later. Yeah, you're looking at me weird. I'll explain. I told you, I'm weird and going to make things awkward for you. So, at any rate, I haven't worked in a week. I have to remember all the details. He comes down here, and the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed that was bringing him into town. So, it wasn't a good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody was walking by and seeing what was about to happen. His name was Ralph Isaacs. He has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island.
I just heard we take him.
I have a digital Ouija board in my bag, so it's a new device that they just invented. And part of the reason why I got it was for this space, because I wanted to see the letters RI show up here. And we got it once or twice in the past couple of months that I've had it. Anyway, so Ralph, he tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. He's like, I got some friends at 59 Church Street that you can rent a room from. The reason why is because the guy that you're with, he's going to try to kill you. He's got a gunman inside. So Dr. Ladd takes him up on the offer. 59 is a prominent number that comes up here, not 78, because of the address. The funny thing about that address now, and I'm going to stop there just because it's relevant of what we got going on, is now known as the Thomas Rose House. So we have guns and Rose.
Wow.
So again, that's why I got so excited. That was me excited, by the way. So Dr. Ladd takes him up on the offer, and they become friends. The longer the doctor stays down here in Charleston, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money. Amanda gets wind of this. She's moving down soon. They're going to get married. Everything's going well. Dr. Ladd becomes known as the Whistling Doctor because he whistled all the time. It's the late 1700s. It's just something a gentleman did. However,
Interesting.
we have.
It's a weird one.
I've seen it.
Okay.
Why I asked
It's usually like one phrase, you know?
Yeah, well, you will get small phrases like that. Sometimes it's "daddy no," that it's weird shit. Yeah. And again, most of that stuff is part of the 80% garbage.
Ah, I just heard, oh, Mandy.
Just got me writing down more shit. No, this is good. This is good, good, good. We'll take Mandy. I don't know that he would have called her Mandy. But the Thomas Rose house, like, that's why I'm excited. The reason why I asked you if you heard Guns N' Roses, like the band, a song, is because I just told you that Dr. Ladd is known as the Whistling Doctor. Oftentimes, we will get songs of just whistling. The song Patience by Guns N' Roses is one of those songs.
Great whistle solo.
Yeah. Maroon 5's Moves Like Jagger, just whistles. So again, we will get things in here that are just whistling. Back to the Doctor story and how things get creepy. With this couple walking by, we'll just kind of group together. So he becomes known as a Whistling Doctor. That's where we were, yes? So Ralph and Dr. Ladd go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He gets better seats. It's just kind of how things went. So one night they went to see Richard III from Shakespeare. They're walking home talking about the play because they can't sit next to each other. So again, he has better seats. They're arguing over the new actress that was here. Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. So the argument gets even more heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways. Ralph, having friends here, in the city of Charleston, what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society, sir, kind of mentality. Dr. Ladd sees the ad. It goes back and forth with the newspaper bit for a while, just so you know, but it ends up with, let's just go to Dueler's Alley. Let's settle this once and for all. So they come down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up for the fight, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. Ralph has his one shot. Anybody want to take a guess where he put it?
Directly into him.
Where?
Through the heart.
No.
Through the eye.
Kneecap. Doctor didn't die. He drops to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to that 59 Church Street where he dies 10 or 4 days later, depending on which version of the story you're reading. So, the date of the doctor's death always remains the same, November 2nd. So, the weird thing is that his birthday often shows up here. I'm not going to tell you what that is in hopes that you're going to hear it, as because we're going to get some bleed over when we go discuss pirates. We're going to be relatively close to this space. It does happen. There are times where we've had more relevant terms for this space come up over there at the next location. It's the weirdest thing. So, all the ghost tours that come down here, they all tell everybody, you can hear the whistles of the doctor. What I'm going to tell you right now is that every haunted city you're ever going to visit has a cliched whistling ghost. Keep in mind, we're using a voice recorder. I have proof of the actual whistling ghost. I want you to keep in mind, if you're going to walk through this alley without me one night, when you're here, turn on your voice recorders from your phones, test it for yourself. Keep in mind that every local knows the story. It's a staple, like I said. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street on this side is going to throw a whistle down the alley. We just passed my garage over there by the Scotchman where everybody was hanging out outside. So I'm going to have to pass this alley like I do every single night, and I throw a whistle down here every single night since I got booted out of here, just for shits and giggles. If my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first, which is kind of something we do. So here's how I got booted out. So here's the fun part. He's like, yeah, some troublemaking stuff. This alley didn't come all the way through. So it actually stopped about halfway between us and Cumberland Street now. So this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. It used to be called Cow Alley. This is obviously before Dueler's Alley. That means that the bricks down there on the other side are older. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. I'm sure you guys figured out by now I'm all about history and verifying things. So there is a brick at the end of this alley that has a handprint in it from a slave child. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children.
Wow.
So they literally had to turn those bricks every hour. However, everybody wants to try to get a reading from one of my devices around that damn brick. It's outside the dining room window of a beautiful mansion at the end of the alley, which means that that is considered residential, where tour guides, me, are not allowed to take people after a certain hour. I'm trying to rush people along one night, November 26th of 2020. Yes, very specific date. I'm getting to it. The gentleman came out. He had had enough. He just bought the mansion and was tired of me tramping by his dining room window every single night. So he came out screaming. Daughter thought it was great because dad's getting yelled at. We moved on. The next night was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked in retail for over 21 years. Retail management for Walmart a good number of those years. You all get my drift, right?
Yes.
Never working Thanksgiving ever. So the next day, I have a full tour, and I get a phone call asking me to go down halfway, which is what we're allowed to do, or to reroute my group. Well, the rest of my route was that way. So I'm like, well, shit, now what? So I told my team, we're going to reroute and see what happens. This is how I started I'm going to change everything up every year. So I told them, I'm a vampire person, not pirates. We're going to see what happens. I don't know much about this story, but we're going to see what goes on. Before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. So I was like, well, damn. I did not tell them that we were going to be investigating the female pirate, Anne Bonny. So I was like, all right, we'll see what happens. We get up there. Somebody else hears the number 300 the minute we hit the space. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means. I'm doing the research the next day. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there for the first time on her 300th anniversary of her pirate trial.
Wow.
So I keep taking you guys back up there. Night after night, it's a hit or miss. We either get a shit ton or nothing going on. Did you guys hear something? I heard some whispering.
Oh, it's just drunk on there.
Interesting.
What does it say?
Drunk. I might be. No, I'm kidding.
So I got 1, 2, 3, 3, and April 1st.
Notebook's in this pocket. April 1st. 1, 2, 3, 3. I don't know. Like, I'm gonna write it down just because I don't know what it is. 1, 2, 3, 3. April 1st. That is not his birthday, by the way. His birthday usually shows up in numbers, and it's weird because it's a double number. So we'll see what you guys actually come up with. Anything that you're hearing on your end?
It's a lot of static.
Yeah. It's a weird space. The gate behind me, before we leave. Remember I told you that the alley didn't go all the way through this way?
Mm-hmm.
This was a shortcut for the duelers. So in the event there was a loser, they could take the dead body to the cemetery on the other side of this wall. Not a lot of people know why this gate is here, but the gate probably wasn't put here, like the actual wrought iron, until like the early 1900s. But the archway was there as a shortcut to get to the cemetery over at St. Philip's.
Oh my god.
I don't even remember where the hell I found that, but I'm like, that's too cool because I see it every damn night. I have to add it to a ghost hunting tour because you never know what's going to. That's why I stop here because it's so cool.
That is cool.
All right. As we're going to be passing through that tour, so just be mindful if you're holding a cell phone. You can continue to record. Just don't be obvious with your recording.
Okay.
Continue to listen. They are going to stare at you because you have the cool shit and they don't. Just so you guys know. It happens on a nightly basis, but they didn't pay for it. So let's go this way. Let's go talk about pirates. Other than drunk dude that we just predicted was
And
coming.
there was another huge group of drunk people that walked by as well. Timing's interesting. Solve, attempt, need, ambulatory, secure.
Yep.
Those are all after drunk.
Ambulatory is actually relevant.
Okay.
I know, oddly enough, we're about to discuss pirates, but I also kind of give you one of the reasons why I give that heated warning at the beginning is one of the spaces. Wow, dude, your Christmas lights are messing up your Model T over there, buddy. So, a year ago this past September, I brought my group back here, about 8 to 10 people. So I always bring them to the back wall because all the other tours like to cut through and tell their story and move on, so that way we're just out of their way. But the kid next to me, the minute we got here, goes white as a ghost. Like, literally, he's about to pass out and hit his head on the pavement. So I had to pick him up by his armpit. Like, that's how quick it was. His boyfriend picked him up on the other side of him. I took him over to that wall, got him a bottle of water. He's feeling better. And then I told them the story of Anne Bonny. The weird thing about this whole situation is that they didn't know anything about Anne Bonny and the reason why he passed out. And I'll explain after I tell you the story. And I did not have to call the ambulance that night, but I probably should have. Is one of those pieces where I can't explain it. Let's talk Anne Bonny, and it's going to make a whole lot more sense. So, we're going to be discussing the little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. So those are not crosses, those are earthquake bolts. If you don't know what earthquake bolts are, they're basically turnbuckles. In the event we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, like I discussed earlier, you can turn those turnbuckles on either side, and it will tighten up the building to incur it from any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work, just so you guys know. There are earthquake bolts all over town, or even in this apartment building behind it. They're just like little peach squares on each floor, but it's just part of the Charleston charm. You've probably seen them as lion heads or pineapples or something crazy, because that's what we do. But the reason I bring those ones up specifically is because that's part of the reason why we're here. Those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in. Why? Because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. This building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny came here to start her new life. This is what I call a familiar. So any events like you're actually on an investigation and there might be children ghosts involved, it's the same principle of using a toy to try to attract that child ghost. It's just something familiar to them. So 1708 is where our story begins, which, by the way, this building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. So 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac at this time. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother.
It's a new world.
Did it really? So, you guys getting the gist of that, by the way? The mistress is her mom? I slow down on that part just because it can be confusing, because I'm going to further it along. The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife.
Maybe that's where the whores came in before.
It's a possibility, because Anne is said to be seen all over town. I just don't know where the relevance would be, because this is normally where we would hear the word whore, believe it or not. We've got it here in this location in the past. We've also heard the term girls just want to have fun quite often at this location. It'll make more sense as we move along. So, Anne back home in Ireland is kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was like 7, 8, 9 years old. Remember, this is pirate lore. Can't get a straight story out of any of it. With a knife to the belly. So again, knife and belly have both shown up here in the same evening many times in the past. So, kind of want to put that mentality of her as we move through her story. We're going to fast forward. The building's done in 1713. Pirates, they're coming through town in 1715. Anne is stoked. Why? Because she's going to fall in love so she can earn her freedom just like a man. So, again, it's a man's world at this point. First guy she falls in love with is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going, right? Dad didn't approve, filthy pirate, they go to Jamaica, they get married, and Cormac is now Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. However, James Bonny is not Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for, because every young lady wants a Captain Jack Sparrow. This guy turns out to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. This is not who she thought she married. So a few years later, she falls in love again. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is literally the person that they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character off of. So this is the guy she wants. He has his own ship. She wants to be part of that crew. You can't put a girl on a pirate ship. Does anybody know why?
It's all
It's
dudes.
bad luck.
It is bad luck. So thank you for keeping it family friendly. Unlike Matt over here. So, and I get all kinds of answers out of that, by the way. And half the time, if I have kids on the tour, I'm like, all right, before you answer. But anyway, so he makes a deal with her. If you want to be part of the crew, you're going to dress like a guy to look like the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to hide her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, it's a man's world, I'm a pirate, let's go. So, being a female in his quarters, put 2 and 2 together. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby, these are friends of mine, come back later, and we'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. No matter research that I've done has found anything about this baby. The weird thing about this part of the story is she comes back dressed as a female. Calico Jack sees that she comes back dressed as a girl, he's very pissed off. Now, the crew's going to know he got a girl on the crew, but while she was gone getting birth to his child, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. She's going to go flirting, because that's what Anne does. We're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. So now we have 2 females dressed like males on the same ship trying to be pirates. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we don't really know for sure, but the British did find out where they were. They send a fleet of ships to take down one pirate ship. Rumor had it that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks, probably because they didn't know how to use the cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. So, obviously 2 ladies are not going to take on a whole fleet of ships from the British Navy. So, they get arrested. And as they're being arrested, she looks at Jack, her captain, and Beau, says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up here a lot, just so you know. We've even had people hear dogs barking on your spirit boxes before we enter the space. Weirdest thing ever. However, the judge wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight, so they're already gone. The 2 ladies go in front and reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves, and the judge does not give a shit that they're female. It's still pirates. They're still going to hang them. We plead our bellies, was the last thing they shouted at the judge, both claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Now, Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary. She has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. That's all we know. We don't know much about her after her pirate career. And there's actually many speculations about what actually did happen and where she ended up. Or what name she even carried. Because the word she changed her name. Mary Reed, she died a year later in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. Good job. So, I seen the scowl on her face, like, it's nasty. Most articles would tell you that it was some kind of fever. I'm going to say it was very scurvy and nasty, gross, bumpy, and whatever you guys want to come up with. Yeah, make it romantic for yourselves. I like to do it every night. So, a couple of things around this location. First off, I left out 2 pieces of information on purpose, and this is one of those locations. This used to be like my big finale. So again, this would be like, all right guys, last hurrah, go have fun. So there's only 2 things I left out. That's the name of Anne Bonny's parents, the names of her father and his mistress. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. So if you want to ask those, just to get yourself started, you can do that. You're going to use your motion sensor here, Matt. So with yours, she loves to show you her hair color, and it is red. The weird thing is somebody was struggling with a spirit box one night. This is how this came about, and with that being said, I was trying to help that person with the spirit box because I just couldn't get the gist of it. So I was trying to find something with a simple answer with a single syllable. And tell us what color your hair is. This thing goes red. The only way she can do that is to touch it. So I was like, all right, maybe it's just where we're standing. So we went to another part of the lot, and we did it again. Same 3 people. Same answer, red. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. So a few nights later, we did it again, and the kid that was holding it, he literally had red the whole time we were here. Like, could not get it to stop going red. We haven't seen it since. That was a month and a half ago. Again, weird as shit. So, the reason why, by the way, getting back to the kid that passed out that I talked about at the beginning, they pull me aside once I scatter everybody out to go play with their devices, and they tell me that they are 2 transgender males. I had 2 females dressed as males on the tour, just like Anne and Mary, and it made complete sense as to why one of them passed out the minute we got here.
Wow.
That's the shit I can't make up, guys. So, again, this is why you guys come to see me. Not that I want those things to happen on a nightly basis, but it is definitely something I can't explain other than it's not a coincidence. So, take that for what it's worth. We're going to this is a hit or miss locations where they're going to have a lot right away or nothing right away. So we're going to kind of spread out in the space, lots of vehicles in here, people passing through, just be mindful, don't film other tours. You guys got the gist. Have some fun. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between the two parties unless you guys are going to hang out together. Or if we can hang out together as a group. I don't mind. Again, that's what I do for a living, guys. Remember, you can also get clues to the doctor's story here, too. The best camera woman ever. Like, need to give you a job. You wouldn't believe half the video I get back.
Seriously?
Yeah. I get some really bad.
Trying not to film vehicles.
People just get weirded out by it. That's all. You hearing anything?
Not yet. Just a lot of static.
That's to be expected. laser focused. What do you got?
Nothing yet.
Okay.
Or at least nothing I've seen pop up, so I'm more laser focused on what I'm hearing. I got
Yeah.
Katy Perry, I Kissed a Girl.
I'll take it. I'm sure she did. So you said you used an SLS in the past.
Yeah.
So have you ever used GhostTube?
Mm-mm.
So GhostTube works by mapping. See how it picked up the cone?
Yeah.
It picked you up like right away. It keeps picking up a person over here.
Okay, so when I was
Yep.
doing this, there was a person, I'll show you right where it is. It almost like had a heat signature, like right here.
It's picking up two people right next to you. Like you and another.
Really?
Yeah, as you walked over there, it was like somebody followed you over there. Yep, there they are again.
Holy crap.
And it's a quick blip.
Yeah.
So the weird thing is I get a lot of psychics on this tour. Keeps picking them up right over here.
Yes. So you can see it in here too.
Okay, cool. A lot of the psychics tell me that they see a person always standing by those bushes. That's why I was like, let me try out this ghost tube over here tonight.
So I saw a person through here. There was like a signature of a person. And it's moving. It looks like a woman in here, but it's moving. God.
Now you have to kind of take in consideration that there's a lot of sticks and,
True.
long branches and whatnot over there. But this one over here that keeps popping up
Yeah.
isn't. But yeah, that one's weird. This guy over here, I'm going to say, is like the little bushes over there on the left. But
Yeah.
have you guys ever seen an SLS camera with the stick figures on the TV shows?
Yeah.
So there's an app for it that I've been testing just to kind of see like how legitimate it is. Again, I don't have full proof that it's, I know it'll pick you guys up like right away, but you can see how
Hey, who's Joseph?
Joseph Brown Lad.
Oh. There you go.
So you see how it picked her up
Yeah.
like right away?
Yeah.
We keep getting, I see it. Watch, somebody's going to our car. against the wall. Any numbers or anything popping up for you?
No.
No.
Relations.
Nicholas Laws. Ironically, he was a judge and named Laws.
That one just popped up like a couple seconds ago.
Okay. We also just passed the monument of George Washington. So
Pizza?
Really? Okay. Yeah, definitely no.
Have pizza by
Yeah.
1700s.
Not here.
Not here.
Definitely not here.
Alright, so when I first came to this place, again, I don't know a whole lot about the gentleman we're going to talk about, but let me tell you how this actually came about. There's a lot of monuments in here. I had a couple, and that was it. I'm like, well, it's experimental month, let's see what happens. So I brought him in here, and I had no idea what we were going to find. All of the clues that we had that night led directly to this man right here. This is Henry Timrod. He's an author and a poet. We had the year of his birth, the exact year of his birth, the name Henry, and the name Tim all show up in the same evening. I'm like, yeah.
Liberty.
You heard Liberty, Liberty, Liberty? It does seem like the proximity of this has to be relatively close. Like the person has to be, I'd say, within 10 to 15 feet.
Yeah. I got the name Garrett. Does that mean anything?
No, but I'm definitely going to write it down. Not to me off the top of my head, but you guys are giving me a lot of things to research, which is good. I like when I don't know something in real time. That makes it exciting for me tomorrow morning. Back. Here, and I know that the wrought iron is right there, so I'm trying to debunk a lot of it. take a lot of testing and make sure I can bring this to the tour. Just don't know if it's going to be reliable.
Yeah.
All right, let me check in on our happy couple. Wasn't in any of his biographies that I've read so far. There's no poems called Cat.
I mean, I know that's not like mind blowing and all, but
What's your hand?
Huh?
it's showing
Oh,
numbers.
sorry.
Yeah.
I heard virus and it made me.
I don't know, is TV a virus?
The Billy Ocean.
I think it is, yeah.
Caribbean Queen. Glorious B.I.G.
I love how you're picking out all the artists. I need lyrics.
Good Papa.
You know what's funny is everybody tells me that they heard Harry Styles. I'm like, I don't give a shit that you heard Harry Styles. What was he singing? Everybody tells me they heard Harry Styles. It doesn't matter what age group. It's normally like the person that's, telling me the artist. I just heard Harry Styles. Yeah. I didn't even know who the hell Harry Styles was. I had to actually ask my daughter.
Tune.
Was he a musician? I don't know. Stuff seems pretty vague. I like the name Garrett for some reason. Like, I don't know how that's going to tie in. And the Nola,
Speak with such passion.
that would definitely be a...
Can't confirm. Heard that as well. But Isabella.
not the wife's name. Alright.
15, 12.
You're hovering between like that 10 to 16 range. I like the 38. I like the 21.